I am in transit, the internal cargo of a mother, searching for a lost father for level ground, breaking through bitter customs, destiny beaten, bullied, bound. There are no sightings of the final approach. The control tower is submerged in the night. I must fly blind, all systems break down. I am entering the internal flight. First in my search, I retraced my mother's weeping steps. As I was sleeping in her waking womb insulated, she was sent away from her church education while she waited and waited and waited. The search for my father must begin with her, but painful tracks have been painstakingly covered. There was only one woman in England who recalled that pregnant woman who was my mother.
Oh, Lemn. Welcome.
Good to see you.
And you.
Good to see you.
Can I throw this down here?
Yeah.
So you were the first person that I ever met who met my mum.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
I know. And you were the first person that gave me hope that I could find my son. It was in 1988 when you were reading, it was the Literature Festival. And you started to talk about how you'd been brought up by white foster parents in Wigan and how your mum was Ethiopian, and I just knew an immediate response, and I thought, God, this child was at St. Margaret's, you know, and you talked about having found your mum.
I've got a picture of her.
Have you got it? Can I look at it?
Yeah, I'll show it to you.
It's in here. This is... Now, I don't know if you can remember what she looks like, because it's a long time ago.
Tall, very slim.
Yeah.
I used to say she's having a pickled onion, this one, because she had hardly any belly on her either. And look, you know? I
Yes,
mean,
that's
very,
my
very
mum.
tall, very slim, very elegant, very beautiful. Yeah. I remember now. Grief.
And in the time it took for my mother's tears to drop on the white and sterile tiles, her sleeping son was claimed, framed, shamed, and renamed, and every dream from then on defiled.
If any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is...
From 7 months young to 12 years cold, their flock sucked me into their fold, and fold they did, and close and seal, tight inside their missionary zeal. Look back into myself, and I may turn to salt. The pain, the blame, it was all my fault.
Attention-seeking, evil little boys should know better than to break their toys, should know better than to ask why, thee, thou, thus, thy. Thee, thou, thus, thy.
He shall be tormented.
Chapter and verses were thrown like curses, guilt as black as polished hearses, and I was that, and I was that. Guilty, evil, growing and black.
Who worship the beast and his image.
At 7 months bought, at 12 years sold, their flock retracted, spat me from their fold. Gripping their scriptures, I saw them as sculptures. Was I waving goodbye or fending off vultures? Food fights at midnight in the pantry, wet flannel fights in the hole, table tennis warmed the cold cellar, into children's home war, football. But soon, the repetitive rattle of keys reminds us that the magic can't last. The alarm bells start to ring as the mind breaks the glass, and the sound doesn't stop, and you're surrounded by security doors, and you ask yourself, what am I being punished for? This is a place of controlled explosions, of self-mutilation and suicidal moans. We might well have all been children, but this was never a children's home. This was never a place of care, but of the discarded, disfigured few. When in Rome, do, they demanded, exactly as the Romans would do. Exactly as one of us would. And as they passed me the straitjacket, I found myself clutched and clamped between cold, black and bold brackets. After 5 years of being in the care of Wigan Social Services, this is where I ended up, Wood End Assessment Centre. So after 5 years of being in their care, they felt they had to assess me by putting me in a place where the corridors were so thin that we had to walk in single file with the largest boys at the back, the smallest boys at the front, so the staff could survey us. Even when I had the very few visits that I had in that 6 or 7 months, we were taken to the sports hall after the visit and made to stand in our regulation Y-fronts, white Y-fronts, because we all wore the same clothes. And just to prove to them that we didn't have anything on us. Privacy was totally taken away. A guy would be sat next to me who was on remand for stabbing his own brother, and he would get out quicker than I would get out. I hadn't done any crime. Even when we went to sleep at night, we couldn't come out of our bedrooms to go to the toilet. We had to press a buzzer. And we pressed the buzzer, the night watchman would come out, he'd open the door, take us to the toilet, come into the toilet with us so that we didn't run away, and then bring us back to the bedroom and lock it again. He could see through the window, and we couldn't see out of it. It was that kind of environment. And this was the preparation that they were giving me for leaving care. When I went to Wood End from Oaklands, that was a massive move from a normal children's home like Oaklands to Wood End. Under what circumstances did I move?
I think you had been rebelling at that period, admittedly, and it wasn't. I know it wasn't taken lightly, the decision, but I had been being difficult, playing up, I suppose, through the term, playing up, being very difficult in the home. But for all that, I didn't want you to move at the time, and obviously not everybody did. But unfortunately, it was a decision that was made that I wasn't in agreement with, because it did take you from being from a children's home background, to what was a combined assessment remand centre.
This social worker wouldn't hold the files and secrets concealed. He saw a wounded boy and knew they would help him heal. It was this social worker. He unlocked and set the bound files free, passed on pieces of paper hope that would forever change me. At last, I knew my name, my mother's name, and my race. It was this intimate information that began the paper chase. When I left care, I cracked the codes and found my mother cold. So this is the letter which I got when I was 16 with my birth certificate, with my, look, there's just so many things for you to see on this. That's Mr. Norman Goldthorpe, who my mum wrote to, who I was named after, right? Now here, right, this is dated 1968, a year after, more or less. My mum's in Ethiopia, her father's ill, and she says, could you please help me in answering the following, please? If I want to get Lemn out here, what steps should I take? I would very much like to bring him. Last week someone came to me, that was the pilot, now this is my father, asked me for excuse and explained what he was done and what has happened to me thereafter. I told him everything just because I thought it would be fair for the child. That's me. Look at this. I want him to be in his own country, with his own colour, with his own people. I don't want him to face discrimination. And she's saying all this. She's being so open, telling everything to the man who'd already named me Norman, who'd taken my name from her.